So we're going to talk about variations. Variations. So there are different variations. So first is we're going to talk about direct variations. So if let's say you have example. If y varies directly directly as as x and given y equals 9 when x equals 5. Find uh, a the equation connecting x and y. Second, the value of y when x equals 15, and C, the value of x when y equals 6. All right, so for example, we have this problem for direct variation. So we're going to solve first letter A, solution. Since it varies directly, so it is actually y equals kx. So if it's inversely, then we're gonna put the x in the denominator. It will be like this, y equals k over x. That's inverse, but we will have that later. So since it's direct, so the x variable or whatever letter you're gonna use, as long as it's the other variable, it's going to be at the side of the k. K is the constant, which is we need to solve that first using the uh, initial given. The initial given is 9 is y, x is 5. You're gonna use that to find the constant. You always do that in variation problems. Okay, so remember that y is 9 and x is 5. So y is 9, x is 5. We're gonna replace those things. So that to solve for k. So we're gonna divide 5 in both sides so that 5 will be gone in one side and k is left alone. So k is 9/5. So this is what we need. Now, let's go back to the problem. It says the equation connecting x and y. So this is now the equation. Y equals 9/5 x. So we just simply replace the k with the value 9/5. So this is the answer for letter A. So this case just the helping one. But the real answer is y equals 9/5 x. Next, the value, so letter B is the value of y when x equals 15. When x is equal to 15. So we're going to use the equation that we have in letter A, 9/5 x. So it will become 9/5 times 15. You can cancel the 5 and 15. Both are divisible by 5. So this will be 1 and 3. So it becomes 9 times 3. Then the y is 27. So that's the answer for letter B. If x is 15, the y is 27. For letter C, um, the value of x when y is 6. So what's the value of x when when y is 6. So the same equation y equals 9/5 x. So as long as you have the equation ready, you can solve any problem that is being given. As long as you know how to manipulate the algebra. So 6, that's the y. So we're going to replace y by 6 and then copy the rest. And then solve for x. So as I said, even if you have this equation, if you don't know how to do algebra, you're going to find it hard. So that's why you need to master algebra first before solving this. So first is when we're solving with the denominator, I want to avoid the denominator first. So I want to multiply both sides by 5 so that there's no more denominator 5 because I don't like to see any denominator. So we're going to cancel the 5. So 5 times 6 is 30 and there's no more 5 in 9. So it's just simply 9x. And then after that, I'm going to divide 9 both sides so that it becomes 30 over 9. But both are divisible by 3. So we're going to reduce this. Divided by 3, this is 10. Divided by 3, this is 3. So x, or you can write it from left to right, it's the same. X equals 10/3. Or if you don't like improper fraction, you can write it as 3 and 1/3. It's the same. Another example, let's say let's have a word problem. For example, uh, the cost of a taxi fare, it's denoted as C, varies directly as the distance D traveled. So the C is the taxi fare and the D is the distance traveled. So when the distance is 60 kilometers, the cost is $35. But since I am not a US citizen, so I will just use peso. So let's name it 35 pesos just for example. Although this is very low in the Philippines. So find the cost when the distance is 95 kilometers. All right, so we're gonna solve this. So the cost of a taxi fare, we'll name it C, varies directly as the distance D traveled. When the distance is 60 kilometers, the cost is 35 pesos. Find the cost when the distance is 95 kilometers. All right, so we're gonna write it in this way. C equals KD. Um, so use capital letter D since it's in the given. And we're gonna solve for the K first. So when the distance is 60, so D is 60, the cost is 35 pesos. So we'll put 35 for the C. So let's solve for the K. We'll divide 60 in both sides. K is equal to, divided by 5, this is 7, this is 12. Because denominator and numerator are both divisible by 5. So K is 7/12. Now we can write our equation C equals 7/12 D. So that is the first thing that you need to do to identify the equation. And then let's go back to what is asked. Find the cost when the distance is 95 kilometers. So the cost is 7/12 times the distance of 95 kilometers. So we're going to solve this. We cannot reduce 12 and 95. So we will just compute it directly. 7 times 95. So 95 times 7. That's 35. 9 times 7 is 63 plus 3, 66. So that is 95, 97, 63, and 9 times 7, 63 plus 3, 66. Yeah. So 65 divided by 12. So we're going to divide this. Divide 665 by 12. So that's 560 times 5 times 12, 60. Then 65. Then 5 again. 5 times 12 is 60. Let's add one more 0. So 50 divided by 12. So that will be 4 because 4 times 12 is 48. So this is 2. And then we're going to add another 0. So 12. We're going to put 1 because that's the closest. It's 12. And then 8. And then I'm going to add one more 0 so that we will know either we round up or retain. So what's the closest for 12? 5, 6, 6, because it's 72. 6 times 12 is 72. And then 8. So it's a repeating 6. Okay. So we're going to round off to 55.42. So the cost is approximately, so since we rounded off, so we're going to use an approximately equal to symbol because it's just an estimation. 55.42 pesos. All right, so that is the answer. So that's how you do it for direct variation. Next is we're going to um, do the inverse variation. Inverse variation. So let's continue at the bottom. Inverse. So for example, we have 9 example number 1. 9 pipes are required to fill a tank in 4 hours. How long will it take if 12 pipes of the same type are used? So this is inverse variation. It's because the more pipe that you're gonna put, it's gonna be lesser hours, of course, because it's gotta be faster to fill in the tank. That's why it's called inverse. More pipes, lesser hours. While the direct variation, the one as the one variable gets higher, the other variable gets higher as well. That is direct variation. All right, so how are we going to solve in this problem? So we're gonna use y and x for the uh, variable, or we can use p and t if you want. Any variable that you want will do. So we'll just use p and t. So p equals k over t. So this is inverse. So that's why the t is at the bottom of the constant k, because It's inversely proportional. Now it's given that if there are 9 pipes, it takes 4 hours. So 9 pipes and then K over 4 for 4 hours. So we're gonna solve for K. 9 times 4 is 36. So our equation now is P equals 36T. So we're gonna use this equation to solve the problem. Now it says how long will it take if 12 pipes of the same type are used. So there are 12 pipes. I'm gonna solve for time. So 12 pipes equals 36 over T. So 12 is the same as 12 over 1. Okay, so any whole number, there is always an invisible 1 at the bottom. So we're going to cross multiply. 12 times t is 12t. 36 times 1 is 36. We just cross multiply this. 12t divided by 12, because that is what we are after. The t will be solved. So we want the t to be alone here in this sign. Okay, so let's erase this first. T equals 36 divided by 12. That is 3. So that means for 12 pipes, it takes 3 hours for the tank to be filled in. So it's 1 hour faster. Of course, because it's more pipes. It's 12 pipes already. Okay, so that is inverse. Another example for inverse. So example number 2 for inverse. If 24 workers can build a house in 40 days, how many workers will be required to build the same house in 20 days? So if 24 workers can build a house in 40 days, how many workers will be required to build the same house in 20 days? So this is also an inverse variation, because the more workers, the lesser days it will need, because it's going to be faster, of course. So let us solve this. We will name the variables for workers as W, and for number of days, so we'll name it D as days. But as I said, you can use any variable you want for the problem, unless it's given that it must be Y and X and so on. All right, so it's gonna be the number of workers equals K over D. You can write it as well as D equals K over W. It's still the same answer. So you can write it in this way. It's the same. So there's no problem to interchange the variable as long as it's inversely proportional. As long as the K is on top and the other variables at the bottom. That's what I mean. All right, so let's solve for K. Given that if it's 24 workers, it's 40 days. So 24, it's 40 days. So cross multiply 24 times 40. 24 times 40. That's how much? So we're gonna multiply 24 times 4. 4 is 16. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. So we're gonna add 0 because it's 40. So 960. So that's the K. And so So let's remove this. And so the equation now is W equals 960 over T. Then we're going to solve, it's given that it's 20 days, how many workers? So workers equals 960 divided by 20. So we can remove 10 here to make it simpler to see 96 over 2. So 96 divided by 2, that's how much? So we're going to divide 96 by 2. 4, 8. So that is 116. So 8 is 16. So 48 workers in all. All right, so that's inverse variation. Now, how about for joint variation? Joint is two direct variations. Okay, so there are three variables in all, but it's all direct. So for example, the variable x is in joint variation with y and z. When the values of y and z are 4 and 6, x is 16. What is the value of x when y equals 8 and z equals 12? All right, so let's solve this. So let's add another page. So the variable x is in joint variation, meaning it's directly proportional to y and z. There's no inverse here if it says joint variation. When the values of x of y and z are 4 and 6, x is 16. Sorry. What is the value of x when y equals 8 and z equals 12? So let's write the equation. Since it's joint variation, as I said, so x is in joint variation with y and z. X is in joint variation as y and z. So it's x equals ky z. Then when the values of y and z are 4 and 6, so here we want to solve for k first to know the equation. So if y and z are 4 and 6, so k is 4 times 6. The x is 16, so 16. So 16 equals, so we're going to solve this. 4 times 6 is 24. So this will be 24k or k24. It's the same. Then we're going to divide 24 in both sides so that k will be left isolated, because that is what we are after. We want to solve for k. Then we will reduce 16 and 24 because they are both divisible by 8. 16 divided by 8 is 2. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So k is 2/3. So the equation will be x equals 2/3 yz. Now let's go back to our problem. What is the value of x when y is 8 and z is 12? So x is equal to So we're gonna replace or substitute y into 8 and z into 12. So we can reduce 3 and 12, that is 4. Both are divisible by 3. So what's left is 2 times 8 times 4. So 2 times 8 times 4, or I'm going to multiply this first because it becomes simpler to do when it becomes 8 times 8. Okay. So no matter which pair you want to multiply first, it's going to be the same answer. But I will just prefer 2 times 4, and then 8 times 8 is 64. So the answer is x equals 64. Another example for joint variation. Let's say A is in joint variation with B and square of C when A equals 144, B equals 4, and C equals 3. Then what is the value of A when B equals 6 and C equals 4? So we have A is in joint variation with B and square of C. So I'm gonna write it in this way. So A is equal to KBC squared. So it says square of C, that's why it's C squared. Then it's given that A is 144, B is 4, and C equals 3. That is to solve for K. So when A is 144, B is 4, and C is 3. So it's squared. So we're gonna do the squared first. K, so just copy everything and multiply. 3 squared is 9. Then we're gonna solve 4 times 9 is 36. So just copy everything except for 4 times 9, which is 36. We need more space. Oh, where is it? It's here. So divided by 36. So K is, we can reduce this further. It's divisible by 12. So divisible by 12. 144 divided by 12 is 12. 36 divided by 12 is 4. 3, sorry. So it becomes 12 over 3. But still, it is divisible. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, so our equation now is A equals 4BC squared. Now let us solve this. Uh, let me rewrite this squared. So what is the value of A when B equals 6 and C equals 4? So A is equal to 4 times the B is 6, C is 4. So 4 times 6, 4 squared is 16. So we'll just copy everything except for 4 squared, which is 16. And then let's multiply. So whatever you multiply first, it won't matter. It's the same answer. So I'll just do 4 times 6 first, 24. And then 24 times 16. So I'm going to multiply 24 and 16. 4 times 16 is 24. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 2, 14. Sorry. Why did I do that? 2 times 6 is 4 times 6, 24. 2 times 6, 12, 14. And then 4, and then 2, and then add 4, 8, 3, 384. So that is the value of A, 384. Okay. So our answer makes sense. 144, B is 4, C is 3. Yeah, because the C and B gets bigger, so that's why our A is even bigger. Last is we are going to solve for combined variation. So combined is literally a combination of uh, inverse and direct. Unlike joint, it has more variables, but still it's all direct variation. So let's have an example. X varies directly with the square. Let me rewrite this. With the square, x varies directly with the square of y and inversely with z. If x equals 40 when y equals 4 and z equals 2, find x when y equals 10 and z equals 25. Okay, so this is a combined variation because it varies directly and it also varies inversely in another variable. So it's directly in y, but inversely in z. That is what you call combined variation. So let's write the equation. So the x varies directly with square of y. So k is always on top. It's never at the bottom. What only changes are the variables. So square of y, so y squared, and inversely with z. So z is at the bottom because it's inverse. So we're gonna solve for k first using the initial given. X is 40, and then the k, and then y is 4, so we're gonna write 4 squared, and z equals 2. So we'll solve for k. So always solve first with the exponent. So 4 squared is 16, 16, and then we'll just copy the 2. Next is, as I said, I don't want denominators. I don't like to see a denominator, so I'll just uh, multiply both sides by 2, or you can reduce this. 2 and 16. Both are divisible by 2, so this becomes 1, this becomes 8. So 40 equals k, 8 or 8k, it's the same. So no more denominator. And then you can divide both sides by 8. So k is equal to 40 divided by 8, that's 5. So k is 5. So let's go back to our equation. So x is equal to k is 5, so 5y squared over z. Now we can solve for the problem. Find x when y equals 10 and z is 25. So find x. So copy the rest. 5 times the y is 10, z is 25. So 5 times 10 squared, 10 times 10 is 100. and then copy the rest. So next is we're going to simplify this. 25 and 100, they are both divisible by 25. So this is 1, this is 4. Because 100 divided by 25 is 4. So this is 5 times 4. X equals 20. So that's how you solve combined variation. Let's have another example. It will be the last for this variation topic. So number 2, a quantity X varies directly with the square of Y and inversely with the cube root of Z. If X equals 6 when Y equals 2 and Z equals 8. Find X when uh find X when Y equals 1 and Z equals 27. So this is 27, by the way. So a quantity X varies directly with the square of Y, not square root, and inversely with the cube root of Z. If X equals 6 when Y equals 2 and Z is 8, find X when Y is 1 and Z is 27. So let's write the equation first. So the X varies directly. So it's K square of Y, so Ky squared. And inversely, so it's over cube root of Z. So it's not cube, it's cube root. So cube root of Z. And then we're going to solve for K using the initial given. X is 6, this one, Y is 2, Z is 8. So X is 6, Y is 2, 2 squared, and Z is 8. So cube root of 8. So 6 equals, so we'll just copy that and solve the square. 2 squared is 4. While the cube root of 8, since we know that 8 is 2 cubed, 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. So that means we can get the cube root of 2 cubed. So we can cancel the cube and the exponent. So that means it's only 2 left. So, and then we can reduce further 2 and 4, that's 2 and 1. They are both divisible by 2. So 6 is equal to K times 2. Then divide 2 both sides. So cancel the 2. K is equal to 6 divided by 2, 3. So our K is 3. So going back to the equation, we will replace now K into 3. 3y squared over cube root of Z. Then find X when Y is 1 and Z is 27. So find X when Y is 1. So 3 times 1 squared over cube root of 27. Okay, so 3 times 1 squared is just 1. So we just write 3 times 1. And cube root of 27. So 27 can be written as 3 cubed. So 3 times 1 is 3. and the exponents will be cancelled, so it's only 3 left. So x is equal to 3 divided by 3 is 1. So the answer is 1. So that's how you solve combined variation.